Hi, Misha here, and I'm recording this in mid-January 2022. And work's not bad, but we're doing inventory, inspection, audit. So, as you can imagine, it's not stressful. And I've wrapped up the British tanks video. I still have a few more things I want to talk about. For example, the Warrior infantry fighting vehicle and some other systems, but it pretty much covered the major tanks. I'll probably get back into the Russian tanks pretty soon, and then we still have Japanese and American, plenty of tanks. And I do have more aircraft coming, including the Sukhoi Su-30, the new one from Hobby Master. But I need a video that's fun and easy to do. So let's talk about Star Trek Discovery, because that's not divisive on the internet at all. And I actually plan on doing a black box talking about my feelings towards the show itself. But in this series of videos, I want to talk about the Starship designs that are in use by Starfleet, the Federation, and using the models from Eaglemoss. And much like the show itself, these designs can get a bit divisive, especially the latter two here. So, do these fit as 23rd century designs? Should they exist? Or if they were, say, 24th or 25th century, would they be better? Or are they just crap designs? Well, we're going to kind of split these up, usually looking at 2, a couple of times 3 per video, and for a couple of special ones, 1 per video. So this is going to be a multi-parter. We've got a total of 12 here, actually. So let's kind of do a basic introduction, and then the next video we'll get into the first couple. We start the series off with the USS Shenzhou, named after the Chinese space program, Chinese space capsule. And it's a member of the Walker class in the show, which is taking place in 2249 and 2256. This is considered an old, even obsolete, but still trusty design. And we see it both in the Prime Universe and the Mirror. And closely related to it is kind of an updated version. This is the Shepherd class. This is the USS Kerala, which is one of the few that actually survived the Battle of the Binary Stars. But we also see my favoritely named ship, the USS Gagarin, which did not survive. And there's a few others besides, and it's kind of the same plan form as the Shenzhou, but it has the newer Discovery-esque nacelles, at least some of them. Yeah, pretty straightforward looking ships there. Then we move on. We have another set of ships here. This is the USS Clark, and this is the Malahowski class. Sorry, I thought so. I had my hand on the wrong one. This is the Clark. This is the Malahowski class. Kind of a classic Star Trek design. Underslung nacelles. Pretty flat. And here we have what I meant to have. This is the USS Edison, named not after Thomas. So Tesla fans, don't worry. This is named after Captain Edison from the Earth-Romulan Wars, who I hear died a heroic death and definitely didn't become a monster on a nebula planet. Yeah. And this is a member of the Hoover class. not named after J. Edgar Hoover, but actually the test pilot, Robert Hoover. But anyway, yes. And it's an interesting planform, too, with actually very small nacelles, especially for the era here, but a relatively large saucer section for what it is, and an underslung deflector. And here we have two support craft. First, we have the USS Zimmerman, part of the Helios class. This is a support ship, or a rescue ship, a tug. We actually see two of these hauling the Enterprise. And funnily enough, it's actually made of components from the two ships here, plus a little bit from the Walker. It's a good old-fashioned kit bash. And that's not a bad thing, because tugs in Star Trek have always been kit bashes, so it's just carrying on the tradition. And up here, we have the Hiawatha class, or type. This is a medical frigate. Could also be used as a cargo ship, passenger ship. Very reminiscent of, say, a World War I hospital ship, which were usually sequestered and converted from passenger liners before the war. In fact, one of the Titanic's sister ships met that fate. And we see this one crashed on an icy moon in the beginning of Season 2. So it's nice to have a model of it hale and hearty. This is an older vessel, kind of dating back to the same time as the Walker types. But oh well, as I've said in many videos, I like having support ships. It really just fleshes out any universe. And now we come to two very interesting and very flat designs, at least this one. This is USS Toplanahoth. This is the Ingle class ship. It too is an older design. And we have the USS Shran, which is a McGee class ship. And this is one of the smallest models and smallest ships in absolute terms in our collection. Also, another famous member would be the USS Cabot from one of the short treks. Definitely a love it or hate it ship. But there you go. Moving on, we get to 4 nacelle ships. Who doesn't love those? Here we have the USS Buran, and this is a Cardenas class. This is a deep space explorer and all around really cool ship. This was Lorca's original command before he blew it up. And then here we have a different take on a 4 naceller. This is the USS Europa, a Nimitz class ship. Now this one is actually designed to be a flagship for an admiral or a commodore, and is more combat oriented. And one of the newer designs, this would actually be kind of the main command ship before the Constitution and Excelsiors would come along. It's a more compacted design than the Cardenas, but you know, this was the Admiral Hansen's command ship at the Battle of the Binary Stars 2. So we'll talk about it. And then finally, we have kind of the highlights, or not. Of course, this is the Discovery herself, Crossfield class. We also see her sister ship, the USS Glenn, named after, of course, John Glenn. Very impressive man. And I think he still holds the record for oldest man in space when he flew on board the Space Shuttle Discovery back in 98? Yeah, 98, I think. And of course, this is actually the newest ship model. It released in 2255. Now, a lot of people think this one is pretty much cutting edge of the fleet, the Constitution class, the Enterprise. But the truth is, and this is long before Discovery, the Enterprise was launched in 2245, so it's already a decade old. It's 2 decades old by the time of the original series. And the design itself actually dates back to 2225 or thereabouts. So, while it might be the most glorious ship, it's not the newest. And it does kind of stick out for having more old school style round nacelles, where everyone else is doing a square or kind of flat nacelle. And we'll kind of talk about that throughout the series, about the roles these play, design choices, what have you. So I hope you'll have fun as I move this series along. And I'm going to try to be just talking about the ships themselves. Again, I'll talk about Discovery as a show, but that seems like a topic for a black box video. What do you think? They're new, they're different. Like I said, these are part of Eagle Moss's Discovery line, which is now concluded with 33 issues. And you get about these 12 Federation ships, and then I think there's roughly 8, maybe 10 Klingon ships. And then the balance are things like shuttlecraft, landing pods, stuff that's not always of interest to me. There are the Section 31 ships, quite a few of those, like 5 or 6. They're interesting, although very futuristic looking. I mean, it's going to already be hard enough to accept these as 23rd century ships. But we'll see what we can come up with in headcanon throughout these videos. Section 31, that's a topic for another day. Since this was just an introductory primer, I'll probably put up the first video very soon. That's going to look at the Shinzo, the Walker, and the Kerala, the Shepherd class, because they go together. And then we'll cover these in sections. They're all more or less of the same size, and I like this size. The XLs are a little too big and definitely too expensive. And the standard series from the Starships collection, they're kind of fun for how small they can be, 3 to 5 inches. I've noticed the Star Trek Online collection tends to be a little bit bigger, more in the 4 to 6 inch range, but still quite small. These are more in the 6 to 9 inch range. I think the Baran is the largest, maybe. Hard to say, because it's both long and kind of thick. Whereas the XLs tend to be, 10 to 12 inches. But they're just big and expensive. These, if you buy them on sale, you can get them for as low as $25 each with a magazine. And they actually come in a nice styrofoam box, which protects them a lot better than the clear plastic that the standard collection came in. It took me a long time to come around to these, but kind of glad I did. Of course, for me, not being able to see, I had no idea what the Discovery or any of the ships in the series look like until I was able to pick these up and fondle them. So that's always fun. It's always fun to kind of explore for me. So as we go through these videos, you'll get to explore them with me, because I recorded most of these quite soon after getting the ships, relatively speaking at least, while they were kind of fresh and exciting for me. And I'm also going to talk about the biggest issue, the length. A lot of these have what seem grossly exaggerated lengths. And throughout these videos, I've kind of discovered if you divide them by 2/3, you get a much more reasonable length. And the Constitution class Enterprise is a good example. When I get to its episode, I'll get into detail about lengths, but Originally, it was perceived to be 900 to 1,000 feet long, meaning, about 275 to 300 meters long. It was never really made canon, not for the first couple of decades. But then Discovery comes along and makes it over 440 meters. That's too much. And then the Discovery herself is over 750 meters. That's 100 meters longer than the galaxy. However, dividing that 440, actually 442, by 2/3 gets us a length of 294, which is right in the middle of kind of the estimates for the Constitution we've had ever since the days of Matt Jeffries. To be fair, Gene Roddenberry wanted to make it 200 feet, not 200 meters, 200 feet long. So that would have been a cozy, close work environment. Kirk would have probably liked it since he wanted at least 1/3 of the crew to be female. And that gives us a Discovery overall length of about 500 meters, which, considering a lot of that's long nacelle, I can get behind. I'm not sure if I can ever get behind the rotating saucer, but we'll see. I'm not a big fan of spinny parts. And of course, Shenzhou is supposed to be an old class, but it's kind of a take on the NX. It's supposed to look old compared to the Constitution and Crossfield class, but it's supposed to look modern and advanced compared to the Enterprise NX-01. So it's kind of boxed in there a bit. And that's kind of the issue with prequels. You're already setting yourself up for a very hard task, even failure perhaps. I don't know. But we'll talk about it. And I hope you have fun. Again, I'm kind of doing this video just for relaxation. Don't worry, in the main videos, I'm going to take these off the stands and really kind of go over them. And I do a lot of comparing with other starships, both before, contemporary, and after. I try to make it as fun as I can. It's a good chance to dust off my models. Alright guys, well, that's all for today. I would say in the comments, post your predictions and thoughts. I'd love to hear them and talk about them with you. And until next time, I appreciate you tuning in. If you could, like, share, subscribe. This is Misha, and I'll be posting the first detailed video very soon.